Oh, yeah, you know what, like once you use it, a couple months ago, the whole stands went knocked over. I think it's broken. So just take it out to make it.
Between hug, not a kiss, just a hug.
Okay, hallelujah. Word of the Lord, Acts 20. Acts 20, we will get there in a minute. But got two doors up there in the preview. The New Year's welcome at the beginning of the service. You saw a bunch of doors. And we're going to talk about two doors this morning in the New Year and what those two doors are and how they apply to us who name the name of Jesus in particular, although it happens to be that God has done something that causes walking through the right door, and we're not talking about the door of salvation in this case. The walking through the right door makes all the difference in our own personal lives. So, want to tell you a story about an individual in Bermuda. In Hamilton, Bermuda, we're about to get a roundabout here in New Lenox. We're becoming European. And I like roundabouts, but lots of people don't. They're like, what do I do? But we've been driving through them so long now in Colorado that we're used to them. They are much faster. So it's about to come down in Cedar and Haven, and so be prepared, I think, this summer. But anyway, one of, if not the busiest roundabout in the world happens to exist in the city of Hamilton, Bermuda. And every morning at 4 o'clock, there is a gentleman who arrives at that circle. And he's there not to beg, he's not there looking for work, he's not there looking for handouts, he's not there looking for anything. He is there looking to share joy. And he will be there, he happens to be 90, oh now he's probably 94, 95. He will be there in his straw hat, his very gray, maybe a little speckled beard. And he will be there with an enormous smile on his face, greeting the hundreds of cars that come through there every day, and all he wants to do is spread happiness and joy. And he will wave, and he will smile, and he will give it away for 6 hours, 95 years old, for 6 hours, giving this away, telling people he loves them, and he has become such a fixture. I think he still is. I was trying to find out if God has kept him there or taken him up to do that work in heaven, which I couldn't seem to find out yet. But I know he was as of a couple of years ago. And people, he is such, people so look forward to that and are so aware of that, that if for some reason, it happens once in a while, he is unable to be there, they will call local radio stations, they will call the police, they will call us, because they want to know where he is. He's simply called Mr. Happy Man.
Mr. Happy.
Mr. Happy Man. Oh man, we were all called that. Mr. Happy Man. And the people will share various stories about them. We'll look at a couple of them maybe at the end of the message. I know one woman shared that she was having a particular bad morning one morning, and she's driving towards the roundabout, and she says, "I'm not going to look at him. I'm not going to make eye contact. I'm in a bad mood, and I want to stay in a bad mood." But she got there, and she couldn't avoid it. And his smile and his word of "I love you" and his word of acceptance changed her attitude in an instant. And I think, in truth, we often don't realize the power we have, both in our words and in our expressions, in our face. The power we have to affect the world around us. Now, as Christians, we really ought to realize that and be walking in a place that's entirely different. I think Deb's and our emphasis on worship in the new year is certainly part of that. Because as we press, maybe it's the heart of it, I actually should say, but as we press in more and more, things will change, to be sure. So, two doors. So, let me ask you personally, what is your goal for 2020? We did resolutions, so we're not doing resolutions, we're doing goals. Well, we're not, I just want you to think about it. You don't need to call them out. What do you think the goal, if we were just to do this generically, what do you think people in the world would say are some of their goals for the year 2020?
Peace.
Peace.
Exercise. Stay healthy.
Exercise, gonna exercise, join the gym. I keep thinking about it. Lose weight, I keep thinking about it. People in the world, make more money. Find a meaningful relationship. Buy a new car. What? Get a better job. More money, bigger bank account. All of those things. But when you boil down to it and you get serious to asking people, you know what they say? What is the most cherished goal worldwide? It's that. Happiness. And we're going to talk about 2 doors to happiness, but it is the single most popular, most desired goal. People simply want to be happy. Now, sometimes I do a thing between happiness and joy, but I don't want you to get caught up on that this morning. Happiness, joy is, they are very similar. I just see joy as a deep, lasting expression of happiness inside of someone who knows what the relationship with God is all about. Marketing companies know this is what people want. You watch the advertisements, try to avoid them, I know, fast forward the DVR, whatever it is, but the simple truth is, look at any commercial and you will see what the commercial is doing is saying to you, if you buy this product, if you get this from us, you will be happier. You will be happier. If you join this gym, if you buy and eat this item, if you dress like this, if you sleep on this mattress. Do you know, and I don't know if any of you have seen this, even Preparation H. Have you seen it?
Oh, yeah.
Even that commercial is about happiness. It starts off, how many of you seen it? Not many of you, well, good for you. It starts off with a guy sitting down on, let's see, and then says the Preparation H is the answer and the solution, and then it flashes forward. Obviously, he has used the Preparation H, and now he sits down, uses the picture of joy and happiness. Never thought about it. Maybe the H in Preparation H stands for happiness. I don't think so. At any rate, and it's not by chance that the single most popular class in Yale's 300-year history is a class that, guess what, deals with happiness. Yeah, how about that? And it turns out that everyone benefits from happiness. What are some of these benefits of happiness? I'll just run through real quickly. These are things that the science, it's up there, that the science has tested and surveyed and laid out. People who are happy have higher odds of a strong marriage, lower odds of divorce. They have superior work performance. They are healthier. You know why that is? God decreed it a long time ago. What, do we get frozen up?
Be happy.
I guess
Be happy.
PowerPoint froze. Okay, well, happy. Where's the Preparation H? Okay, so, do you know, oh, is it coming?
No.
Oh, my, interesting. Oh, well, I told them to you, so you just have to go with them. But anybody think of a passage why we would be healthier if we are happy? There's a whole series of translations in the Old Testament that say something to the effect that laughter doeth the bones good like a medicine. And you know what happens in the tests show happier people are healthier, and I think the immune system, all of that flows out of the bones. Guess what? God knew that, when he built us. And he stated it some time ago. Ooh, that's hard to read in red. I put red in the, or is it just my color blindness that makes it hard? Hard for all of you? It's the blue background. I almost can't even see it in my color blindness. The surveys, the tests, everything shows happy people tend to have better pocketbooks, and they tend to be more effective leaders. It turns out happiness benefits everybody. So the question is, if that's true, then why is it that so few people are finding happiness? What are the statistics? Only a third of Americans are happy. That's what all the surveys have said for a long time. Indeed, in 100 years, the highest number of people in America, when asked that question, are you happy, has been only 35%. Now it's less than that. 2/3 of people in the country walk around under a cloud of perpetual grayness. Clinical depression, it is said, is 10 times greater than it was 100 years ago. And get this, the WHO, anybody know what the WHO is? The World Health Organization says that this year, 2020, depression will become the second leading cause of disease worldwide. And of course, depression is just the opposite of happiness. How and why so little happiness? And unfortunately, I've even,
You need to go on a mission trip.
how do I say that? Tis true, Jose, which is an expression of one of the keys, or actually the key. Once you're saved, but it just strikes me that, you know, the church, people who name Jesus, who know Jesus, who know who they are in Him, who know how God feels about them, and who know where they are going, they should be the happiest people of all. And yet, depression is on sharp increase inside the church, inside of those who name the name of Jesus. Why in the world? How could that be? How is that even possible? But yet it is. So I want you to understand, we're talking about us. We're not just talking about the world. Well, we do have something to give the world, but that flows out of someplace else. So, you have 2 doors to happiness. I think there's another door slide. Ah, yes. You have this one and you have this one. And the world's door to happiness, we've already talked about. That's the next one. It says, acquire, retire, dress, drive, car, bank account, bedroom, food, lose weight, etc., want to do it. The way to get happy is to get stuff. The way to get happy is to have lots of stuff. And even Christians, it seems to me, are seduced by this belief in the day in which we live. And I think that's probably because we spend too much time listening to the wrong stuff. Instead of being in the place where the truth and the life is, we are listening to the garbage that's coming across the media and all the other places. Next slide. So, that creates an enormous problem. Again, just a couple of statistics. How about this one? The Illinois State Lottery winners. How many of you buy lottery? No, I'm not asking that. But how many of you would like to win the lottery? Guess what? Turns out they're no happier than recent accident victims. How about that one? Statistic. That's been done. That survey, that test has actually been done. We think, and the world teaches, that money makes lots of happiness for a long time. It's a lie. And if you pursue it, you will ignore the true sources of happiness. Actually, lots of money makes life a little happiness for a little time. So we're back to 2 doors. And I have labeled these 2 doors. Our 2 options. The one on the left is called the get door. I will be happy. The world's way to happiness is that happiness happens when you get. But the Bible teaches something entirely different. The door over there says happiness happens when you give. Now, this is not a tithing message. This is not a money message. Because I want us to move past that to the idea of Mr. Happy Man, to the reality that we can all the time be giving happiness to people we know, to family, to friends, but also to people who we don't know. I think I've mentioned to you this, before that You know, when I go into a store and I buy something, I want the cashier to be happier when I leave than when I got there. And so I'm always, not always, but now it's up to 90 to 95% of the time, I'm not distracted by my own wants, needs, thoughts, etc. You know, I'm busy thinking outwardly, because that's where happiness comes from. It always does. I went into one of my favorite stores, Walmart the other day, because I had to buy a special compound to put around one of the chimneys in our house. And I get up to the checkout place there, and you know, they have those do-it-yourself checkouts. So I scan my thing, you know, I'm about to go out, and up comes a sign says something like, "Wait for assistance, this is a restricted item." I thought, a restricted item? You know, turn around, and this nice young 20-something lady is coming over to me, and I said, "What?" And she said, she didn't say, I said, "Oh, I know, it's an adhesive, it's glue-based." She said, "Yeah, you have to be 21. And she punched the button that she had to punch, and started to walk away, and I turned and I said, "Well, I'm under 21, aren't you going to card me?" Dead serious for just a second. And she stopped and she looked at me, and then we both broke out in laughter. You know? Because that's the point. Everywhere I go, I have something to give. It's not about me getting something from someone, it's about me giving something. And it's amazing when you get into those lines. Do you ever get into the wrong line at the checkout?
Oh, yeah.
Every time I go. Sounds like a bad commercial. But that's preparation time, you know, because because there's a line, the checkout people are having a bad time. Because people in this world are, and even Christians, I mean, you know. And so that's prayer and preparation time. You need to get ready to share a little joy, because they need it right about now. And as we do that, we incrementally change the world around us. But more than that, if you do it enough, it begins to open a door to say, why are you like that when almost nobody else is? What makes you different? And that difference is an open door to the gospel. So the world's door is happiness happens when you get. The Bible's happiness happens when you give. It turns out that doing good does good for the doer. I like that phrase. I think it was Max Lucado pointing out. Doing good does good for the doer. Acts 20, verse 35. We are reminded by the Holy Spirit. Remember the words of the Lord Jesus, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." And again, we tend to jump off into the money train, and that's because we're focused in the wrong end. It's about what we have to give of ourselves. Life is about relationships, starting with the relationship with Him, but then all the other relationships. And even if they're only a 20 or 30-second relationship, it's still a relationship. You are still interacting. You still have something to give. If you want to be happy, instead of grumbling in that long checkout line, prepare to give. And you will walk out of that line entirely different than if you were the other way. You always have two doors. You always have two choices. You can either do it the world's way. What is the matter with the store? Why don't they have more checkouts open? It's all your fault, cash register person, and I hate you today. Or, thanks for taking care of me, you know. I know it's a long line and people are probably complaining, but I just really appreciate what you do. And we can spread joy all over the place in all sorts of ways. Our attitude is this inward, that's the world's way. It's outward about other people. That's the Jesus way. You know, Jesus didn't need his disciples to go out and drum up crowds, did he? They just naturally came. And he wasn't dishonest with them. I mean, you know, he talked about sin, and he talked about life, and he talked about difficulty, he talked about all those things. But it was never in a way that was not able to be received in a positive and powerful way, in a way that ends up lifting up people and encouraging people. Turns out if you want to be happy, the only way to be happy is to give happiness away. And I never see it fail. The more I give it away, the more changed I am. And again, we as Christians, you know, have so much to give. We know who we are, we know where we are from, we know what's going on, and we know where to get happiness and joy at any moment, in any situation, in any difficulty. When we do it, it changes us. We need to be reminded again about Luke 10. We just came out of Christmas, and the angel stood up and said to the shepherds, I bring you good tidings of a great joy. That's what we have. We may not get to preach the gospel to whoever we encounter on the street, but we can spread joy to every single one. And wonderfully enough, you won't even very often get persecuted doing that. I mean, once in a while somebody may say, what's the matter with you, so-and-so, that you're so happy? But most of the time, they won't. They will be lifted up and they will be encouraged. John, in a very famous passage, well, actually Jesus, he's just quoting Jesus. Jesus says, I like this translation. He says, I came to give life with joy and abundance. And I like that because when we think about abundance, again, because we are so programmed in the States to stuff, we think about having a lot of stuff when we hear abundance. It's not about that. The abundance is Him. The joy is Him. And the joy is multiplied every single time we give it away. Every single time we focus on that. Max Lucado, where's this at? He shares this story. He says, recently he met with a husband and a daughter to plan a funeral for a wife and a mother. And that mother who had just passed away, her name was Patty. And throughout her life, she was the picture of unselfishness. Together, he says, we tried to imagine how many kids she had hugged, how many diapers she had changed, how many children she had taught, and how many hearts she had encouraged. To see her smile, her daughter says, was to see springtime thaw winter ice. Man, I want that to be a description of me. 3 months ago, a grave condition had left her unable to speak, partially paralyzed and living in a rehabilitation center. Her spirit sank so low that she did not want to eat. She had trouble sleeping. But one evening, her daughter had an idea. She put her mother in a wheelchair and rolled her from room to room looking for people who needed encouragement. And it didn't take long. Though she was unable to speak, Patty could touch and Patty could pray. And so she did both. She patted other patients, she placed her hand on their hearts, she bowed her head, she prayed for the better part of the whole evening. She touched and prayed her way through that rehabilitation center. That night, guess what? Her appetite returned and she slept once again like a baby. And it continued until God called her home. Doing good to others does good to the doer. Always. So we need to completely change our focus and whatnot. The Bible goes on and it says that all over the place it talks about this. There are 2,700 plus passages with words like joy, happiness, gladness, merriment, pleasure, collaboration. Wish I could say somebody else like that, but I can't. Cheer, laughter, delight, jubilation, feasting, blessing, exaltation. Indeed, way back in Genesis 12, one of the first proclamation of blessings is to Abraham, and God says, I will make you a blessing to others. And in me, in you, they will be blessed. I mean, that's our call. That's what we have in Jesus. It changes our countenance. It changes our face. Lift up your countenance, all ye saints of God. One of my favorite songs that we used to sing a lot around here. I mean, let your face reflect what's going on inside. And let what's going on inside be the truth of who Jesus is and of His life. And, you know, we're going to pursue a little bit more about giving this away and how we do it. In the New Testament, there are more than 50 one another passages. Okay? So the joy certainly flows out of worship and out of relationship. But even after that, as we know from just considering Christians, the simple truth is it's a choice. You have to decide what door you will choose to happiness. My encouragement for you in this new year is that you choose the door of giving joy away, giving happiness away. When you do that, it's going to come back, flooding in upon you. It's going to change your entire perspective. It's going to change your understanding. It's It's going to change your perception of the world around you and of the very difficulties and things that you yourself are struggling with. Spread joy at every opportunity, happiness. Well, I told you a little bit about Mr. Happy Man. Let's take a look at Mr. Happy Man and what he does and what he's called to do. Because I'm not going to show you the whole thing. You can go to YouTube and just type in Mr. Happy Man and watch it all. Watch the videos. And maybe you want to do it for a few mornings to encourage you to be this kind of person out in the world. But this is Mr. Happy Man.
Have a good day, have a good day. Good morning. I love you. Hey, have a lovely day. Good morning. How are you? I love it. Hey, how you doing? Hey. I'm just little Johnny Barnes. I'm just a little small instrument in the hand of God to be used any way he feels fit. What I do every day, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting my breakfast. You're still sleeping, I guess. From 20 to 4 until 10, I stand on the corner and just greet people, let them know that life is sweet, life is beautiful. No matter what happens in life, it's always sweet to be alive. Enjoy the sunshine, the flowers, the birds. They're happy. The good Lord now just try to make people happy. I used to work in the railway. The railway came right through there, you know. Before they made that a highway, there used to be a wall. I used to sit on the wall in my lunch hour and just shout out to people. I love you, have a good day, you know. It started way back there when I was on the railway, electrician on the railway. And I enjoy making people happy. Hey, David! Fine, thank you. Beautiful day. Tell my love him. Tell my love him. Okay, go on. Tell my love him. Okay, good. I love. Okay.
I lived in London for a long time, and elderly men standing at the side of the road, and you stop, and I expected for him to ask us for money. That was my initial reaction.
A lot of people couldn't understand why he would do what he's doing. I mean, why would a person go out there in the middle of the night, in the rain, the thunder, the lightning, he's there with rain suit or umbrella, whatever he has to do to stand there. A lot of people couldn't figure that out. Why would he do that? And they don't really understand where he's coming from. He's coming from that angle of brotherly love. And that's what he's doing there every single day. Brotherly love to anybody who comes past.
I think he likes me because I feel like he always knows when I'm coming, because he has a whole 360 to cover, and it's like 3 different directions. And he manages to always say, I love you to me, even if I'm going in town, coming out of town, going past. He always ends up finding my direction and just saying it to me.
I love you, Bermuda is another world. Don't you know it's love divine?
I've known that people come to work in the morning and like 6:15, there's no Johnny Barnes. So they want to know why. They phone the radio station and says, where's Johnny Barnes this morning?
I mean, people expect him to be there Monday through Friday. And when he's not there, there's a panic. Like, where is he? Why isn't he there?
He cares, and the rest of the people care about him when they don't see him.
I was 9 months pregnant with my son. He was going to be delivered by C-section. We were driving to the hospital, and I did my normal wave to Johnny, and he didn't see me. And I got really nervous because, you know, you're going to have your first baby, you want everything to be right. And so I made my husband drive around the roundabout until Johnny Barnes waved, because to me that felt like it was like a good omen to go to the hospital. So On the second turn around the roundabout, he saw me and he waved and he told me he loved me. And then I said that we can go off to the hospital now, ready to have my first son.
There was a morning when I was traveling into the city. It was not a happy morning. And I could see in the distance Johnny Barnes, and I had made up my mind I was not going to look because I wanted to hold on to my unhappy moments. But I ended up looking at him, and sure enough, he forced me to smile and remember that I had a choice for my day, to smile and be happy or carry this heavy weight of anger with me. And that's what he reminds me of every day, that there's a choice in how we start our day.
I'm looking up, I can't see anybody up there. Hallelujah. That's Mr. Happy Man. You can, but notice the effect. And it goes on and on and on. I've seen that again and again and again. And part of the joy that I get to experience repeatedly is the joy of changing that kind of attitude, that the look on the face, the sourness that you see so often every place. I get to affect that. I get to affect that for brothers and sisters. I get to affect that inside my family whenever I choose. I get to affect that. My challenge for you in this new year, we're going to talk more specifically next week about some of the one another's and how we can do this. Praise team, please come. But my challenge is for you to become the person that you should be in Jesus, which is Mr. or Miss or Mrs. Happy, whatever you want to call yourself, you know, and to be sharing that all the way around. You get to choose the door. And believe it or not, God has so ordained things. Yes, praise team, you can come. Oh, we don't have praise, okay. Well, I'm happy anyway. But you get to choose your own level of happiness. I mean, that's part of the freedom. If you want to choose to be miserable, you can choose to be miserable and to make others miserable around you. Or you can choose, anytime, this is part of your privilege as a child of Jesus, you can choose to spread happiness, and that will make you happiness. That will multiply the joy inside of you. It really will. And I just want to encourage you. Maybe you need to watch this every morning. You know, to go around and around and around like that, to change our habits and our attitudes instead of, oh, get out of bed, I've got to do this, I've got to spend an hour making myself pretty, spend about 30 seconds, which is why I'm not pretty. But the point is, you know, it's not about what I have to do, it's about what I have to give. Which way do you start the morning? You know, what I have to do, what kind of burden I got to deal with, what's going, or what do I have to give in Jesus? It will change everything. I guarantee it. And I suspect that as we honor Jesus and God in this way, it will begin to open the doors, much, much more of our hearts to deeper and deeper worship. And it's, everything with God is a circle, you know. He gives us something, he says, now come along with me and do a little bit of this. And we do that, and he gives us some more. And he says, come on, let's go a little further. And then we do that, and he gives us some more. And he says, and it just keeps going. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Like worship. You know, you step in, the more you step in, the more he gives. And then he draws you more. You say, okay, I'll come a little deeper. And then he draws you more. And it goes on and on and on like that. That's the quest we're on this year. But happiness will be a key to that. In a preparation will too. We will talk about worship preparation somewhere in the next month or two. But right now, choose happiness. Choose to be Miss Happy Rita. Miss Happy Katrina. Mrs. Happy Katrina. Ah, you know, Happy Katrina. You know, Happy George. Hey! Of course, your conversation will shape that as well. And folks, you know, part of worship, I gotta stop, I'm past time, but I'm sorry, Lola. But, oh no, keep on going. Yeah. But, you know, even in this place, when we come in on Sunday morning before worship, please check the conversations. Because atmosphere is important. This is not a neutral place. This is a place where God calls us to establish an atmosphere of worship and prayer. That's why we come in here and pray 15 minutes before. Because we're crying out for the anointing, both for us, and I'm praying that for you. But in conversations every place, I mean, we can choose to converse about those, like Deb said when she was talking early on, there's plenty of garbage in the world to talk about. But in the world,